there. We are live from Seattle as we take a look in the rearview mirror at a time when fashion may or may not have been at its peak. Shutter shades, bedazzled jeans, and quite possibly my most awkward years of my life. I'm Kate Osborne, and today we are racing our way through the 2000s, a decade we are quite fond of as it brought us Xbox and Forza Motorsport, the building blocks for the ForzaRC. After winning week 3, Force 1 is back on top and McLovin' it. But there will be blood up front as Venom and Lightning also have eyes on being the Series 2 North American Idol. But the big story of round 4 is further back, where Sterilizer and Diablo must bring it on, or their playoff hopes will go down like the Star Wars kid. As the great Ricky Bobby once said, if you're not first, you're last. It's time for the final Wednesday Showdown. Well, I know I'm ready for some racing. I hope you are. Brian Eckberg, community manager, Connor Daly, IndyCar drivers, running NASCAR, all around Forza Motorsport lover. So thanks so much for joining us on this show.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, we are racing in the 2000 decades, and I think that is what this is all about here today.
It's all about the 2000s, which if you're a Forza fan, that was the decade that Forza came alive, right? 2004, 2005, the original Forza Motorsport. I know Connor that remembers those days coming back. Those were the days that got us here to the Forza Racing Championship.
And for you, Connor, what do the 2000s represent?
Oh, they represent a lot of interesting times in my life. I was discovering that I could be a racing driver. I thought that it might actually work out. Sure enough, I started racing cars in 2006, 2007, 2008, and despite having a horrendous bowl cut, I somehow made my way to the IndyCar ranks.
What year in the 2000s was maybe the pinnacle year for you?
Probably 2008. My first year in race cars, the Skip Barber National Championship. Me, Joseph Newgarden, a guy named Connor DeFilippi, who's a factory BMW driver now. A lot of incredible talent that year, and I won the championship in my first year, and it was a big fake check for $350,000.
One of those big ones.
On to the next level of the road to Indy. So it was a very exciting time in my life.
Is there anything, I remember off camera you said something about like promising your dad something, that maybe we still have a decade or two to go for that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I promised him a lot. When I was a youth, I thought I had a very straight shot right to the top. Turns out it's been a lot of zigzags, and I haven't really reached where I want to get yet, but it's been a fun ride. It's been a fun ride.
Well, we will have a lot more with Connor Daly a little bit later, but it's almost time to get racing. Before we do that, we want to make sure you guys have a chance to dictate what happens in this race, and that is by our polls. Of course, you go to watch.forzarc.com to get involved, but the first one is this car choice, and this is happening for race number 2. But Connor, what do these, how important are these cars in your life?
The classic battle, Impreza versus Evo. I have an STI in my house, 2004, blue. Not gold wheels.
Driving around school one day like
yes,
that.
I did park it at high school. It was a very exciting time in my life. However, it's currently not running, so, it was a good run.
Well, of course, you can continue to get involved in the show throughout, and that is where the rewards come into play. And more importantly, I'm just stoked for this week's rewards.
What a lineup. I mean, we have the Maserati MC12, that sort of boutique Spagna GTA, and a car I know you love, Kate, the Ferrari F40.
Literally, I saw it last week in Monterey Car Week, and I described it as, that emoji with the heart icons, the smiley face with the hearts. That's my love for that. What's your tie to it, Connor?
Beautiful machine. I remember in high school, our senior parade, I actually got to drive one of those in our senior parade. So you had already moved on. You were older than me.
He was driving an F40. I was driving a Ford Probe.
Yeah, it was for 25 minutes, and it was a great 25 minutes as an 18-year-old.
I can only imagine. All right, pushing that livery here. This is another one of those rewards. Both very iconic cars, the Celine, the Aston Martin. History with both, legacy really with both.
Legacy with both. We're going to see both these cars in action as well. The Celine S7, of course, potentially at Bathurst, which is a fantastic combination if you saw the EMEA races. And Connor, I know you love that Aston Martin.
Yes, if I somehow win the lottery someday, I'm going to buy a Celine S7, and I will buy my dad an Aston Martin because I promised him when I was a youth that somehow if I made a successul career out of motorsport that I would buy him an Aston Martin.
He's still looking at his watch, right?
That's another decade.
I think he doesn't believe me. I'm not going to lie.
All right, driver suit. This is one of those that, Connor, what?
You have to look good to go fast. This is at least 2 to 3 tenths, if not more, if you look really cool. So clearly you must get this reward to go faster.
It's Forza science.
I believe it's actual facts. Yeah, 100%.
Well, in order to get racing here on the Wednesday Showdown, a lot has to happen the weekend before. We're talking about those Sunday heats. Brian, a lot of action happened on Sunday.
These guys are working all week. Wednesday Showdown, Saturday and Sunday heats, and of course they're racing here on Sundays.
The North American drivers started their Sunday race quest back at Bathurst in the Celine S7 with Venom starting wheel to wheel alongside Lightning. Revs, with his back against the door, was unable to maintain second with a seamless cutback from Lightning. Too little too late though, with Venom already appealing away from the pack. Race 2 saw 2 times of North America lock horns in the Mitsubishi. Even with all that pace, Venom made sure there was no doors left open for the TX3 driver, defending the top spot to assure his claim of 20 points in his bid to start pole in today's racing. Clean start at Maple Valley, and one mistake from Venom was all it took for Lightning to take the lead. He didn't need to be asked twice as he released the shackles on his DBR9 and went to work securing the victory in the final race of Lobby A. A disappointing Week 3 result for Sterilizer found himself on the bubble for Mexico, and the last thing he needed was GTR Hurricane making some incredibly strong challenges in a bid to join his teammate Master Apex in today's final Wednesday Showdown. In the dying moments of the race, Harmonic made an ambitious attempt to pull the rug from underneath Vanquish, still second. Meanwhile, far right in front, Veloce Force 1 enjoyed his own company, crossing the line in first. In race 2, the Mitsubishi Evo brought much closer action, with second position being fought for over by LMR, THR and F4H. Clipping the sand saw Vanquish relinquish his hard-fought second place, having 4 laps to play catch-up, going from 7th to finishing 4th. Meanwhile, Sterilizer hooked up the Evo to finish second, securing his spot in today's racing. 3 contenders and 2 spots remaining. Like racing poetry, the fates of Hurricane, Brizzo and Julian would unravel here. Julian established a big gap, sitting nervously in 4th as the other 2 wrestled for position. Hurricane's demise came frantically chasing after Julian. As Brizzo and Julian secure the final spots of the Wednesday Showdown, Force 1 qualified in style, making a hat-trick of wins.
And that, my friends, is how we ended up on today's final Wednesday Showdown as we head to Mexico City.
As you can see, there's a lot of pushing. These guys are racing hard because they know this is the final Wednesday Showdown. It's all to play for here. There's still a chance to score some points before we head down south.
There's still a chance. And Force 1 is one of those guys that definitely is in the running right now to score some of those points.
Now, you think about Force 1, of course, is going to Mexico City, but here's a chance for him to really move up the leaderboard, the global leaderboard, and possibly improve his position for where he starts when he's racing in Mexico City. So depending on how he finishes today, I think he could actually get all the way up to 5th place overall in the world, which is amazing.
You know, and it's interesting. He was watching the earlier show, the EMEA show, and he was really attentive, really engaged. And I asked him one of the most challenging things about the particular car track combo we had for race number 3. And as he said, you have to be able to adapt lap after lap because this is not something you can really plan for. That just shows his attentiveness to what he's really trying to take charge of right now.
Just that race number 1, as we said, it could be the Celine on Bathurst. That's a recipe for chaos, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
So you have to be able, just like Force 1 said, you have to be able to adapt.
All right. A disappointing day for some, and I think Alley Tack would fall under that category. We don't have Billy Sue.
You're right, Allie is disappointing, but that sound you hear right now is him crying because Billy Sue did not make it for the second showdown in a row. He feels, I know he feels, you can just see it in his face. He feels terrible about it.
He is laughing, but really he's crying inside.
Yeah, that's right. Tears of a clown.
You made it sound like I was just disappointing. Disappointing. All right.
He's happy, but anyways, he is disappointed that Billy Sue is not going to be. We also are, it's a very big surprise again.
Yeah, you feel bad for the guy. He's worked hard and he's had some good results, but it's just that consistency is needed week after week in the Forza RC.
All right, it's time to go racing. I'd like to bring in our buddies Scott Cole and Ali Tack to join in the fun. Gentlemen?
Well, I appreciate it. It's time for us to get our race on here in North America, and so glad to have you guys back for our final ride. And wearing Justin Bieber's jacket is Ali Tack.
Yeah, repping the gold detailing, a little bit of a hood up here as well. I'm now a cool kid, Scott.
So Hollywood now.
I don't think we can hang out anymore.
No.
I'm cool now.
Yeah, I totally see that. We had some good racing in Europe earlier today. Now it's time for North America to have some opportunity to improve their chances down in Mexico City.
Yeah. Once again, I mean, this is the last chance for any of these drivers to score points in the Forza Racing Championship Series 2. And the exciting thing is that all of the EMEA drivers have already scored their points. And that means the NA drivers can now chase. Everything else is staying still. There's no more moving targets. There's all this points maths that you see me doing. Everyone's sitting still, and now we can work out how far up the leaderboard can these people get. Force 1, very interesting indeed.
Well, speaking of the drivers, let's take a look at what drivers we have to showcase here today in North America. Of course, you know Force 1, young up-and-comer. There's Venom, who's been very consistent over the series. And then you have Lightning right there, but Sterilizer. Paul down there, a.k.a. Revs, and Harmonic. And on the back side of this, you have Diablo, Vanquish, Skyline, Master Apex, probably the last time we'll see him, as he's just outside that final go.
Yeah, GTR, Master Apex, the same for TUS Julian. Both really big teams in the community, both very popular drivers. A shame that they won't make it probably into the next round. I think mathematically it's very difficult for them now, if not impossible. But yeah, they can come out, end in style here in the last
And
Wednesday
some of that
Showdown.
was just getting strong, improving a little bit too late in the series. If you had good showings in week 1 and week 2, maybe there's a possibility to accumulate enough points to go to Mexico.
You're so right. You know, it's all been about consistency. You look at people like Venom up there at the top, consistent performers, easily going to make it through to Mexico. A few of these guys not so often, sometimes not making it into the Wednesday Showdown. Yeah, not going to make it into the Mexico playoffs.
Well, we know the car. Let's figure out the car and the track. What's the combo going to be here in North America? It's a Celine S7. It's orange, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, entirely handmade in the United States of America.
That means it's amazing.
That means it's amazing. It's a really cool car.
What do they make, like 4 of these?
Yeah, they didn't make a lot of them, and they are.
For some reason, we're going to see 12 of them on Bathurst. Great pick by the community out there. This is a real tester for this S7 because although it's very fast, very powerful, it does not handle very well.
It doesn't, and there's a lot of concrete walls here at Bathurst, a lot of places to trip up yourself. We saw Roadrunner take a spin. It can trip up the very best out there. Can these drivers keep it on the track?
Well, that's going to be the big question. Here is the grid. Force 1 up on top. Venom second. Lightning third. Sterilizer for F4H could make some moves here today, so watch out for him with Brizzo and Master Apex rounding out the 12th.
Big opportunity for Force 1 to start strong here. It's hard to overtake at Bathurst, so he might be able to bring this home.
And here we go. It is 23 turns. That's right. 23 turns around Bathurst. And up the hill, these guys go. Here's the moving color pictures as they come up. It's a long way down to turn 2, but there's a whole bunch of turns in this next about mile or so as they work their way up the mountain. No changes in position yet. You see Revs dropping back just a little bit. Harmonic moving up through these first couple turns here in lap 1 of 7.
A lot of the drivers clean through the cutting for the first time, and now it's up the hill towards the top of the mountain before they plummet down that hill again over the top of Skyline. So Force One doing a good job here to get through the first lap strong. That was probably Lightning's best chance to get through. He's held him back.
Well, now you just have to sit back, patient, wait, pick your line, and hope someone in front of you makes a mistake. You got to watch out. I know these guys want to cut these corners as close as you can. That's how you keep your time up. But we saw in those European races that it's okay to graze the wall, but when you make full contact, that's when it can get a little hairy.
It's got a very, very intimidating reputation. The Bathurst circuit, known as the Mountain. It's very difficult, mostly because there's no runoff on the outside of the track up on that mountain sector. All concrete on the outside, waiting to give your car damage.
Turns 20 through 22 coming up. They call it the chase. That'll slow them down one final time before they take that 90-degree left-hander known as Murray's Corner. And back to the start-finish line. We'll do this 7 times. And nothing really to report yet. Everybody just lining up. Someone's coming to the inside here. It's Diablo. Well, Dexter's Laboratory action.
That's a beautiful livery. I think that's a Ice Rabbit design, Mesosphere livery. Beautiful one put together for the F4H team here, with Dexter's Lab on it. Fighting for 6th position with F4H Sterilizer. I'm not right in saying that's LMR Harmonic, excuse me, that we're riding on board with right now, and just behind him is Diablo, looking for that position.
We sort of are in either a dawn or dusk setting here, so you're going to see very clearly when someone has damages to either of those front corners, as one of their headlights will not be illuminated. As we're in lap 2 now, you can see how very easy it is to catch some of that concrete. As riding along with Vanquish. 2 minutes and 11 seconds there on that first lap. Give or take, they'll obviously improve on that here in lap number 2, as you're not going from a standing start. And this is where it gets wild for me. This is turn 11 through 17 as you come off the mountain.
Over Skyline, over the crest, and then you're plummeting down the hill. Celine has a lot of natural understeer, and down those hills, the weight of the car will lean on the front tires even more, cutting away its grip, making the drivers struggle to get the thing turned. F4H Diablo struggling a little bit there, and now under pressure from Vanquish, who we're on board with.
And Diablo to the outside here as they come up on the chase. And I think you want to be as more inside as you can. And Diablo and Vanquish is off in the gravel in the sand. Back onto the track. That's going to cost him a couple positions. He'll drop all the way down to 10th before making his way back on the track. Let's move up ahead into 5th position with Sterilizer. As Harmonica and Chase, Diablo right behind him as they come across the start-finish line to start lap number 8. Scott Cole, Alley Tack along with you here in the North American races of the final week before we head down to Mexico City to the Series 2 playoffs just a few weeks from now. This is race 1 of 3 of the evening. Force One out in front. Doesn't have as much space as we saw Mitch earlier today. Lightning. This is just going to be an incredible battle in North America between Force One, who's on the come up. Lightning's been around for the last couple seasons, proving his worth, and he's just waiting for Force One to make a mistake.
You know, Lightning and Force One have more or less had the run of the mountain to themselves. These first opening laps, the two of them just eyeing each other up, watching each other's lines. But now F4H Venom is starting to close up in 3rd position, close up in this leading pair. And he will apply pressure onto Lightning and apply pressure onto Force One as well, and maybe start to bring out some mistakes as the two of them have to push that little bit harder.
Best part of the track right here. Lightning getting ever so close to the wall here. This is a great view of coming off the backside of that mountain before you hit the Conrad Straight.
It's a great feeling driving around this track in a car which understeers like the Celine. when the front doesn't grip up, you kind of send the car into the wall. You turn in at a point that almost feels like you're going to hit the barrier on the inside, but the natural understeer will scrub the car just wide enough and through that apex.
A little bit of a lock up there from Force One, slowing it down. Let's bring Brian in. Brian, what the heck's going on?
Well, I think a lot of people are locking up there. In fact, we were looking at a replay very closely between Diablo and Vanquish to see if there was any contact here. We saw Vanquish go a little bit wide here. I don't think there was contact between Diablo and Vanquish there. And I think it was just Vanquish was on the outside, and he turned in a little too late and spun, and well, sent himself wide off the track.
You think he's anticipating contact there?
I think he's looking at the smoke ahead of him, and he's worried that Diablo's on his right there, and he knows he's got to take that corner with as much speed as he can, and Diablo wasn't giving an inch.
Good job, Brian. Appreciate that. That brings it more into light about what happened there in that lap. As we turn around, turn 2 up to the top to turn 4, and then take a little cruise on the mountain as you hear Force One taking those revs all the way to the limit. And Lightning is really gaining.
He's closing up that gap. Lightning beginning to get himself into a position where he can make a move. Remember, Lightning and Venom here, both drivers fighting for second position in Series 2 on the global leaderboard, whereas Force One's fighting for 5th. So really, Lightning should be looking for a way past Force One. Of course, Force One wants all those points. He wants them for himself. So I'm not going to make it easy for him.
Can the youngster from North Carolina, currently riding along in second place here for TX3, can Lightning have a chance to drive through that door if it opens? Force One really starting to power down now through some of these corners, getting a little bit more defensive, and maybe some mental fatigue setting in. It's just, you're wondering, you're like, hey, I'm driving my butt off here, and I'm not gaining any ground.
Well, what do you do when the track's so thin and there's concrete walls on both sides? You can catch up to the rear of the car ahead, but you're not going to find your way by. Not through the mountain section, at least. It's here in the chase, in the final corner, and on turn 1, hell corner, that are the best chances to get those cars side by side, to get a move happening. But Lightning just not close enough to Force One at the right moments around this track.
I mean, it's so easy, if you're going to be aggressive there, to overcook it and go right through these double, pretty much 90-degree left-handers, one before the start-finish line, one right after. And then once again, you need all that power as you start to gain altitude, start to slowly climb your way to turn 2, back to the right, up the mountain, and then you start the trip all over till you get down to Skyline and come down back the other side. Really no room for overtaking right here. You're just waiting.
Yeah, this left-hand hairpin we're looking at right here, it's called the cutting. Get right up against that barrier. That's a very close line there from Lightning. We saw Roadrunner just taking it a little bit closer than that and getting his front caught and spinning the car around over in EMEA.
Yeah, earlier today. And that's all it takes, is you just dig in a little too much. Like I said, you can graze it, you can give it a little kiss, you can, you know, rub up on that left concrete wall, but any more than that, and you're spun around like a record. A record is a thing that you put and you play music on it.
Like a mini disc. It's Naughty's week, right?
5 of 7 here on Bathurst. Force One has started on the pole and he's kept that. Lightning has also stayed in second position. Well, he's taking this to the top of the revs every time. And he'll go through the chase. You'll see a little bit of lockup from both our competitors. Anything you can do to slow it down and be able to negotiate.
That's a sweet line from Lightning. A little bit wider on the way through the exit corner to the chase, and he's carrying good speed now towards the end of the lap.
Here's to
Beautiful.
the inside. Can he make it stick? Force One forced to the outside. He's going to lose some momentum there across the start-finish line. Can Lightning get on it, take it down to turn 1, Hell's corner? And he will be to the inside, and he will make it stick.
Beautiful move from Lightning, and an essential point. I love the assertiveness of that move. Throws it in when he gets the chance, doesn't wait for Force 1 to get used to having it behind him, just sends the move, makes it happen. One time, through he goes into the lead.
So Lightning will take over the top spot. Force 1 will drop back, and now he's on the chase. Venom right behind him. 1, 2, 3 lines up as we head up the hill to turn 4.
Tell you what, somewhere in Germany, Box is going to get himself a cold glass of water because Lightning is on the chase here. It doesn't look like Box is going to be able to hold that second place in Series 2 if Lightning is driving like this.
Lap 6 of 7, and that's the beauty behind the move, is he doesn't wait till the final lap.
Ooh, look at that squarely there for Lightning as he heads through McPhillamy and towards Skyline.
Almost lost the back end there for Lightning, but able to recover. Keep that S7 straight ahead. 2,700 pounds of 2004 American Beauty. Speaking of American Beauty, let's bring in Kate. What do you got for us?
Well, that was the nicest intro I've ever had. Okay, Roadrunner said, Roadrunner said it looks like Force 1 has better throttle and brake control, and Taylor has the precision. Something interesting to note from Roadrunner, who obviously is familiar with this from earlier.
Guess I'm getting nicer in my old age.
Something like that.
You're losing your edge, Scott.
6 of 7. I don't know. It's the last week of the Wednesday Showdowns. You can't be savage all the time.
Look at that gap that Lightning's opened up already in the lead. He's throwing that car around, drifting it through these corners. Such aggression. He looks very comfortable behind the wheel of that S7. Yeah, I mean, Force 1, I think, will be surprised to be seeing that gap opening up. But Lightning is on fire here. He wants it. There's only one lap between him and the win.
You're right. Across the start-finish line one more time. We'll take one more trip on the mountain straight up to the quarry. And I mentioned that just from Force 1, it's just, and sometimes the sounds in this game can be deceiving, but a lot of times they're right on point. Of course, we got a long 3 heats here. This is just race 1 of the day. Of course, things will change dramatically between the Scooby and the Evo coming up next. And then a little Maple Valley at the end of the day. A little flashback to the beginnings.
Yeah, all the way back to the track, which debuted with the first Forza Motorsport track from the Naughties here at the Naughties Week.
Final lap. Force 1 led for 6 of these laps.
Yeah,
and now he's just
the last one though.
Yeah, he's just hoping that Lightning will make a mistake. Lightning looking for another podium. Something he's done very well this season. Of course, Force 1, when he's brought his A game, he's been right there as well. Force 1 with 11 wins on the season. Lightning with 18, so the combined for 32. They've also combined for 58 podiums. Between Force 1, Venom, and Lightning. Of course, those are your two top 3 runners right now. Really nothing going on in the back, we'd let you know. Julian running last, Apex right in front of him.
That's not a bad run from Force 1 through the last sector. He might have a sniff of a chance here into the last corner.
Do you chance it?
That's a long dive, actually.
Yeah,
he won't pull that. He won't. I was telling myself he wouldn't. And eventually he didn't decide not to.
No lifeguard on duty. Lightning provisional will take this first race. Force 1 behind him. Venom right there in 3rd. So those are well, we've had the top 3 performers in North America. They finished 1, 2, 3. And Brian, how about Lightning? Just sitting back, waiting. I mean, this is a youngster. These are 2 young guys.
2 young guys, yeah.
But obviously Lightning's got a few more laps under his belt than Force 1.
And we know Lightning is a great overtaker when he has to. I actually want to commend Force 1 here for not losing it completely when he loses his first place. I think Force 1 is very aware of what he needs to do, the maximum amount of points and what that means for his starting position in Mexico City. But the pass happened. He kept 2nd place, provisionally, of course, and he didn't lose his cool. I like that.
Yeah, and that composure and maturity is something that he's been working on throughout the season, getting a little bit, a little bit more sort of level-headed as he goes through the races. So nice to see him, keeping his cool, even though he lost the lead.
Well, that's something that just comes with getting out there, these multiple races. I mean, you saw the same maturity from Lightning as he was a youngster, but started to get that confidence, get some things under his belt, and I think a lot of those were those battles with Lage last season.
It's those ups and downs and how you handle those moments on the track. You gotta. It's like a quarterback, Scott. You know this.
Oh,
you
yeah.
gotta forget the past series. Just look straight ahead.
That's right. Let's take a look at the replay here of race number 1. And it looked like it was going to be all Force 1. A good start. Not a lot of drama here early.
Yeah, not a lot of drama except obviously here in the back. There's some things happening with Julian.
It's called sarcasm.
That's right, yes. Except for that moment. It was very clean. Yeah, and here's that moment with Diablo and Vanquish, with Vanquish going wide. We pointed that out earlier. That Conrad straight, it seems easy. It seems like it's a break for the drivers, but that right-hander is full speed. And here's the pass. Lightning over Force 1. You see Lightning, terrible, went wide there. Sort of opened the door for Lightning to take that lead, and then he had the inside position here at turn 1,
Yeah, Force 1 did need to go wide, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Force 1, he was pushing, right? He wanted to defend the place. He knew he needed to run to the back straight, pushed as hard as he could, and that's the Roadrunner spin there for Sterilizer. We missed that in the race, but yeah, clipping the inside wall. I didn't see that at the cutting. Very easy to do. And
once again, we saw these guys using the walls a little bit. They're not afraid to scrape the wall. Maybe it's scrubbing speed for them a little bit. They're using Bathurst, you know, the entire track, which isn't a lot to say in some parts of the track.
No, you don't really need track limits. The concrete sort of does that, right?
Yeah. It does the job for you, right? It's adjudication, it's judge, jury, and execution.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, obviously we missed a few things, so let's go over to Kate with the provisional results.
Yeah, that's some seriously great racing, actually. I was really surprised that Force 1 did keep his cool and composure, and, of course, Lightning just getting around him. That is the racing that we love, a very clean racing, if you will, to a point. Lightning in first, second, Force 1. Venom pulling in the third there. 4 with Revs, Harmonic, Diablo, Vanquish, so on and so forth. I really, going back to what you guys said about Force 1, keeping that composure, that is something that is so important as he continues to grow and mature. And like we said earlier today, he was following along with the EMEA, the shows going on there. He's very in tune with that. And even on Twitter outside of the events, he's very, very engaged. And I think that is a newer version of Force 1 that we're seeing. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of these, for the youngsters, it's a lot about consistency, and they could take a page out of Venom's playbook. This is a guy that now has 39 podiums to go along with his 15 wins, so he's been a picture of consistency.
But consistency might not cut it for Force 1 anymore. You know, he can be as mature as he likes, but he needs to win at least one race out there today in order to get 5th position on the leaderboard. And that's what he wants. He wants to qualify as high as he can for the Mexico playoffs, which are coming up. That's where the money's at. That's where the big prizes are. That's when he needs to perform.
And Kate, momentum is also huge for these guys.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Consistency and momentum. And if he can get that balance between the two, that's really what it's all about. Well, we're going to take a deeper look into the WRX that's filling up our studio. Thanks to Ali Tech. Take it away.
This is a 2004 Subaru Impreza WRX STI. And yeah, it's wearing a hockey mask. Designed by Peter Stevens, this car shares heritage with the Lotus Esprit and the McLaren F1. It's beautiful, refined, it's a future classic, it's got grind marks on its spoiler. You see, when your granduncles have surnames like Solberg, Burns or McRae, the wrong side of the asphalt can be hard to resist. And wimpy road components have a funny way of getting swapped out for tougher hardware. Who needs a CD player, back seats or carpeting when you've got a Vibec ECU, Riga Racing dampers and tready Hoosier off-road tyres? Under the hood, that 4-cylinder boxer engine was rebuilt with a compact Garrett turbo and jammed up to the aggressive levels required to navigate mountain paths, hill climbs, puddles, and, well, anything Mother Nature could dream up. No, the result is not a museum piece, and yeah, it's unlikely this STI will live out its days being lovingly detailed in a private collection. but you tell it that. I'm not going to tell it that. It's terrifying.
Allie, your commentating is so fantastic. It's terrifying.
It's a pretty scary car. I mean, those guys driving around, it's had one driver,
Right.
but ominously 5 co-drivers. So I think it's eating them.
Well, you posted that picture earlier today in the driver's seat. It's pretty cool. It's cool to have that kind of car fill up our studio and definitely represents the 2000s along the way. All right, it's time to take a look at that global leaderboard and see where we stand at this point in the series.
Sauber Zoom at the top.
Sauber Zoom at the top. Isn't that great? I think we're able to say that he's now mathematically unbeatable there at the top of the leaderboard. So Sauber Zoom taking Series 2 by the looks of it, provisionally for now.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind that this global leaderboard does not take into consideration the races we've had so far, right? So
Correct.
There's still, these could change. A lot of these positions could change by the end of the day.
A lot of the positions are up for grabs, but I'm thinking by this point, that number 1.
Yes,
looking
yes.
pretty straight
And
for
to
him.
consider, guys, he overtook Box, which today Box didn't have his best showing either. So that's something to keep in mind, too, as we see those results of the global leaderboard progress.
You're absolutely right, and there's 2 people chasing Box right now for not first place, but for second place. Out there, there's Venom and there's Lightning racing. We just watched them race around Bathurst. Those 2 guys are chasing Box to try and get second place off of him.
And I wouldn't call Box's performance this morning his best.
Absolutely.
He was struggling this morning.
Yeah, he absolutely was. And I think, you see that with what he's saying when he posted on Twitter after. He doesn't know how he feels either. He couldn't figure out what he dialed in. But obviously he was frustrated, and that is obviously what racing is all about, as to how is he going to channel that frustration into, will he translate that into something else. But it does open the door for Venom and Lightning.
And Lightning with a win in race number 1 here, provisionally. So we talk about Venom too. This is a guy that we call him the guy who is ever the bridesmaid, never the bride. Not as many wins, but this guy is so consistent as a podium finisher.
Yeah, you can see it right there. 38 podium finishes against Lightning's 36. Lightning a top performer, so Venom doing a great job to do better than him there. Yeah, the wins is where he needs to make it happen, though. He needs to start shining a little bit more and not always being that second place runner. Yeah.
And we've already had the conversation a little bit, but Force One can really make his way up the leaderboard to 5th if he has a great day today.
And what he needs to do,
46 points, by the
46 points, and he's already scored provisionally 15. Allie, he needs a race win.
He needs a race win. Yeah. He's got to score 46. 15, 15, 15, that's 45. He's got only 1 too few.
Right.
So, the pressure is on him to make that happen.
When I think that's, again, goes back to the idea of how is he going to be able to handle that pressure. It's going to be interesting to see how these next 2 races pan out.
Absolutely.
All right, the final results are in. Let's see how they all shimmied out. We didn't think there would be much conversation back there, but
yeah, we saw some incidents on the track, but apparently nothing that caused anybody to lose too many positions or have a drastic effect on the race. Lightning, Force One, Venom. Great job by Revs. We didn't call his name a lot in the race, just off the podium. I think he's going to be very happy with 10 points.
all right, there we have it. Wet track or dry track. And we saw a wet track earlier in the EMEA, and it just makes it interesting. And the car is interesting. The track is a lot of fun, and I think the rain and the wet conditions really amplify that kind of racing. But that's me. That's if I were voting. What would you do?
Well, remember, Maple Valley, we haven't seen a lot of Maple Valley yet in the ForzaRC. This is one of those tracks, really long turns that position matters. Sure, you can be too wide, but you got to be on the inside of those turns.
And that final turn, by the way.
We've seen so many cars just taken out.
It really knocked a lot of people out.
Yep.
Race 2 is coming up next. But first, gentlemen, how do you think it's going to pan out yourselves?
Well, you know, the interesting thing is you got one race in the books, right? So you're starting to get some momentum, some confidence. You drive a beast around Bathurst, and the next thing you know, we're going to downgrade you to an STI. Can I say downgrade?
I don't know.
Or an Evo.
They're both cool cars. They're both very different cars to the S7. So four-wheel drive here, we're moving from a rear-wheel drive car to a four-wheel drive car. That's going to change the way that they have to handle it around the track.
Totally different outlook. I mean, you've got an entirely different drivetrain. You've got a lot lower horsepower car. I think a fun car if it's a Subaru STI, because I love that. But yeah, a lot of these guys who finished up front in the first race will probably not be looking to make as much of a desperate move than the guys that finished at the back in the first race. So it'll be really interesting.
Yeah, and they're going to be in Nurburgring GP,
Yep.
if that makes a difference for you. And we saw a lot of overtaking opportunities down at turn 8. Let's figure out, is it going to be the Evo or the STI here in race number 2? And they make it happen for you, Connor. Once again, the HTI. We're going to go Scooby. 278 horsepower in this thing.
Beautiful machine. It's a fun car to drive. Obviously, a great car to race because that's what the people are choosing.
Yeah, there's little the punch little engines these cars have. In both the Evo, I think, and the Subaru have that little flat 4 boxer engine in it with a turbo on both of them. So very similar cars in a lot of ways. I think it comes down to which color of car you like more.
Yeah, we're heading to Germany. As we mentioned, we're at Nurburgring GP circuit, and I tell you what, we saw some good racing in Europe, and I expected to see it here in North America, Connor.
Yeah, it's a great track. I mean, a lot of great overtaking zones, heavy brake zones in turn 1, the chicane near the end of the track in the final sector, and it produced a lot of great racing earlier today, so I expect the same. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Here's the grid. Lightning's going to be up front, and that's where we're going to go. Green, 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 and there goes Lightning. Force 1 in second, but watch out for Venom right there in third as they race down to the first turn here in Germany. Slow going. It's all about hitting that right. We had Harmonic go a little bit wide there with someone at the end as well in that trail position. Got a little wide, and we have some contact here. And that looks like Julian once again for TUS, but he's able to recover. Boy, we get bumper cars right now, Allie.
Yeah, Julian, his second time running, getting caught up in the first sector of the lap. It's a shame for him in that beautiful TUS paint. Hopefully he'll be able to recover later on from 11th position. Right now, Lightning, though, getting away with it. And Force 1 having to chase.
A rally car being used as a rally car there, very much so in the first sector.
Right along with Vanquish right now. He's got Harmonic right behind him. And you can see a little bit of damage there to the, we call it the trunk in North America, Allie.
The boot.
Not the boot.
The boot.
Boot's something you put on your feet. You could have junk in your trunk, though. That is a thing.
I've heard about that.
One of
Here we are, lap 1, Nurburgring. Let's reset. I feel like this has all been derailed.
We're bringing North America casting.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Left-hander
so far, out in front,
yeah.
Chased by Force 1, who needs to win a race out there. We've got Skyline and Sterilizer as well, punching each other here on track.
Turn 12, down to 13.
Everyone's first chance to make a bonsai move at the chicane and see if they can all make it through clean.
Venom with a cheeky one there on Force 1 onto the back straight. And just get it right through the right-hander of bit curve. Force 1 trying to make it happen out of the chicane. He's looking for a wider exit line there to optimize his speed into the final corner. It's not going to happen for him this time out.
Venom's got to open it up a little bit here. He's becoming a bit of a roadblock here in this second position, allowing Lightning to stretch his legs a little bit as he comes back to that start-finish line, and that happens a lot, especially here in Forza Motorsports, Connor, where second and third start to battle it out, and first just ends up with a lot of clean air.
Yeah, I mean, that's a massive lead to pull out in one lap. I mean, it just goes to show you that if you can get through one lap mistake-free without, dealing with all this, craziness that we see going on here, you make life really easy on yourself, which is why qualifying and your starting position is so important at these Grand Prix circuits.
Well, Vanquish really whipped that thing to the outside to get back into his line. Luckily, he didn't make contact with Diablo, but now we got a little side-by-side for Harmonic, who moves from 7 to 6. The question is, can he make it stick to the outside, running out of real estate? But yes, he does file back in with Diablo and Skyline right behind him.
Yeah, just managing to edge Diablo out there. Harmonic defend that position. Losing out in turn 1. We're back in that battle for second position. On board with Force 1, who's chasing down Venom. Force 1 with his hopes right now of 5th place in this Series 2 championship table. Disappearing up into the distance with that green car that you can see up there.
I'm very surprised Force 1 hasn't been able to make a move yet. He does look like he's got quite a bit more pace on Venom, but Venom still is able to stay in front, so it's a good defensive drive.
And along with Force 1, he does have some aggression. I assume we'll see an overtaking move at some point here. But Venom he has picked up his pace here in lap number 2. He was a little bit cautious going around the circuit for the first time, and now he's trying to pick up that pace a little bit because he knows he's got Force 1 right in his rearview mirror.
He's tucking into the draft in the back straight. Force 1 will have to send a banzai here onto Venom if he wants it this lap.
I think he's waiting for that turn 8 at some point, that Dunlop curve.
It's so hard to tell. It's hard to tell where Force 1's going to get a chance without Venom making a mistake.
He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. We mentioned most consistent driver in North America now with 39 podiums to go along with 15 wins. Only been penalized twice, and that's the reason he's in the top 5 globally.
They're not losing a ton of ground on the leader either, which is good for the battle for second. If he can just get by quickly and focus on moving forward, he might have a chance of catching him. But if they stay locked in front of each other, they might not be able to make a lot of time up.
Now, right now, Lightning well out in front. But as you mentioned, I mean, he's not gaining ground. He's not losing ground either. So Jillian able to recover after a bit of chaos there in that first lap. But can he hold off Sterilizer right now? That's a big question. As Sterilizer takes a peek. Now to the inside.
See a few of the drivers using the grass through Sector 1 to help rotate that Subaru. It suffers from very natural understeer. The front doesn't want to steer. It scrubs the front tires. Here on Forza Motorsport 7, you can use that grass just to get the car spinning around, rotating on the track, and punch the car out the corners.
Just about halfway through. There's that turn 8 that we were talking about. It's your biggest chance for overtaking on the track.
Just getting a little bit too much exit understeer there, not able to quite get a good run off the corner as we go into this high-speed chicane.
Yeah, the Schumacher S is here's uphill, left, right. Incredibly difficult, not only because the corner has this evolving camber as you go through it, but also there's a gravel trap on the outside of it that will just slow your car down if you hit it.
Yeah, very blind in real life. When you're going up that hill, it's very, very steep, and if you're sitting very low in a Formula car like I have here before, it's a pretty impressive corner.
High downforce through Schumacher, that must be a great feeling, just sticking the car in there.
It is a great turn. However, I did race there in the rain on slick tires, and it was not as fun doing that.
Doesn't sound fun at all.
So halfway through, as they negotiate the chicane here at 14 and 15. This guy's running quite a bit slower. And we found in the European side of things where Mitch really made a good run at it earlier today. Almost flawless around the circuit.
Yeah, Mitch looked very classy out here in the four-wheel drive Subaru up ahead.
And by the way, we just lost Venom. A disconnection. He'll have a DNF, so that'll
such a shame.
Open the door for Force 1, given second place. Second today, we had Davey Skills earlier, and now Venom has fallen to the bandwidth monster.
And I'll tell you, Force 1 and Venom, they go way back. Those two used to be teammates at F4H before Force 1 moved over to Veloce. There's a lot of respect between those two drivers, and Force 1 won't have wanted to have made that position in that way. He will have wanted to have beaten Venom fair and square on track.
Well, Jillian starting to climb up the grid here a little bit. He's moved into P7. Remember, started well back, even had a little snafu in the first lap, but he's starting to prove he's got some pace out there.
Yeah, this battle for second still shapes up to be even better as we go here. There's a real tight race.
Well, Kate, we were talking about North America just being a bit slower on this circuit. What do you got for us?
Well, Roadrunner would like it to be known that top times achieved in EMEA here was a 19.8 with Mitch, 19.7 himself Roadrunner, and then 19.6 Lage. At this point, no one's under 220 within North America. So it is true they are running a bit slower than what EMEA did.
Well, we missed some carnage there as Julian was riding along at 7th, and by the time it was done, he was facing the wrong way and all the way back in 11th now because Venom is DNF. So he's running last and maybe pushing it. He was making ground, but maybe he's pushing it too hard.
Yeah, it was a bit aggressive. I mean, he was going through quite a bit of turmoil there at the start, and obviously the whole pressure of trying to make up some time got to him, which is a shame because it was a great race back there. There was a lot of good passing, a lot of good maneuvers.
I tell you what, it's turning into a bit of a disastrous end to a very promising season for TUS Julian. He's really come up through the ranks, done a great job. It's the second ForzaRC Wednesday Showdown he's made running. And yeah, so you got to remember the good stuff as well as maybe yeah, watching him maybe having a bit of a struggle this week.
Lap 5 of 6 here. See Forza 1 in second. There's Revs. Revs got to be careful here.
Very aggressive defensive driving into the first corner there. He's clearly feeling the pressure from behind.
It's easy to see Vanquish. He's the one in the blue car.
Who would have thought?
As Vanquish, though, is not going to hold off here. Revs has got to take a defensive line if he wants to hold on to the podium here in lap 5. And there's no doubt Vanquish has got the pace.
Turn 6, it's got a camber to it. You can run faster through there than it feels. Revs holding onto the outside. He knows they have the inside into the next right-hand hairpin and then down in the run towards Dunlop. That very fast right-hand hairpin. Great to see Revs out here racing his heart out. This guy's had a difficult season. He's been picking up momentum just at the right time before the Mexico playoffs.
Let's see if he goes outside in here with Vanquish to the inside of 8. Can he get the run on Revs? Revs wide up on the grass, but able to hold firm on that inside, but he's got to get outside here in turn 9. And a good job there by Paul, a.k.a. Revs.
Vanquish, though, trying the over-under. He wants to get that exit speed from the Schumacher S's and up now to this very fast left-hander. Late on the brakes for Vanquish.
Boy.
Can he get it stopped?
Brilliant racing. That was really impressive. I was really impressed with those two guys.
At some point, Revs there, coming out of 10, started to wobble a little bit. He was losing all kind of momentum, and that allowed Vanquish just to continue on his line and take that ever-elusive number 3 spot. So that'll have him currently running in a podium position here in lap 5 of 6. But something tells me Revs is not done, and he's got to be careful here. Nearly spun out Vanquish.
Vanquish manhandled that car back into line there. That was in a full drift. He just threw it back in a straight line, accelerated through it. All those four-wheel drive of that Subaru helping him out to get that car back straight and on the road.
When you drive defensive for so many turns, that was almost 3 or 4 turns in a row, you end up offline so much that you could never, at some point, you have to lose speed because you just can't get the run off the corners if you're always trying to enter offline.
Brian, let's take a look at that replay as things got a little silly.
Yeah, TUS Julian's had a heck of a day here at the Nurburgring. We just saw some action here where there's some contact between Julian and Brizzo. Skyline gets collected a little bit. Sort of, Brizzo's the pinball between Skyline and Julian comes back on the track, hits Diablo. Bad luck for Diablo, wrong place, wrong time. But Julian gets the worst of it.
Yeah, riding along in 11th. Appreciate that, Brian, with a DNF by Venom, who was riding along in 2nd before his luck ran out a little bit. Now to the inside. These 2 guys.
18 different dummies there from Revs, throwing it left and right. I love it.
This looks like real racing of a Subaru STI for sure. Just banging doors, bumping fenders. This is a good one.
And that's why sometimes more horsepower doesn't always mean better racing.
Exactly.
And right now, 3, 4, 5 are battling it out here in the final lap, and Revs will put it to the inside.
He wants to get this move finished before the Schumacher S. The next is a left-hander, and Vanquish is going to have the inside. Look at that, nice run.
This is the same move that was made on him, but now he's in the attacking position, so he should have a good run in the next corner if Vanquish doesn't play it right.
Vanquish going a bit wide there, but able to get it back on the track, and you got to watch out because you guys can battle it out, and next thing you know, the guy at the end of the line can run in here in lap 6 of 6, the final lap.
Is Harmonic going to get a golden ticket here on the last corner? He's still been battling it out, and he's looking up forwards to this track at a possible podium finish.
He can't wait to see what happens here.
I think our head spectator was about to head out for the day. He's like, yep, I'm done. Exit, out.
Vanquish, too late on the brakes.
Can he get it back up to speed? Revs to the inside here in the final lap. He's on the inside of Vanquish.
It's going to come down to a drag race now. They're both entering onto this pit lane straight.
Oh, boy.
Vanquish out wide.
Fed him a wheel.
Behind.
That's going to be one for the Marshals. He's going to make that third place stick, but was there anywhere for him to go? That'll be the question. But a tip of the cap, round of applause for those two Titans here in North America, just battling it out. And I tell you what, Harmonic might have the best view right there in that 5th spot. But Revs, at all cost, Brian, was going to get that 3rd place back, even if it doesn't stay that way.
We were talking about how well he did for a 4th place in race 1. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about Revs this entire season. I'm so happy to be talking about him now because he's showing a fire that I'm not sure we've seen until today, which I love to see.
Well, when his name was Paul, he was my Billy Sue. You know what I mean? Last year, he was a privateer, didn't have a team. I'll be honest, I was head over heels in love with him. Yeah. You know, and that's just how it goes.
What's not to love?
But some incredible racing there, Connor.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell right there at the last corner, he did the classic racing fade up from the inside line. Just not a lot, no contact, but just enough to where you think you're exiting the corner on the proper line, but there's still another car to your outside. And we've done that many times in real life, I'm not going to lie. So it's part of the game, and it was a good race between those two. They were really, really pushing each other.
What do you think, Ali? That final sort of fade to the outside, pushing them out, slowing them down, and able to take that 3rd spot, will that stay?
Yeah, I think it will. I think it will. I don't think it was that rough. Yeah. It's racing. It's racing, yeah. And as Brian said, it's hunger. And that's what we've been missing from Revs for such a long time. Hunger out there on the track. He wanted that position.
If you're in Vanquish's spot, do you battle for that position? Do you come back to the inside and try to go nose to nose down to the end?
If I'm in that position, I'd like to think I'd keep my cool there and I'd just take my 4th place because, yes, those two cars can get together and maybe nothing's going to happen, but a spin for both of them ruins both their races. It's a tragedy.
But you're 50 to 100 yards from the line. It's awfully tempting.
It's awfully tempting.
If you're down in Mexico City, maybe that's a different story, right? If you're in the playoffs, but now you're just trying to make points, maybe cooler heads, prevail.
Yeah, it could happen. We'll see. If I'm Vanquish, I'd have the red mist, but you have to be calm in those moments and take your 4th place, take away with those points.
Well, some incredible racing there in North America, and an unfortunate moment once again. Venom running along in 2nd, and next thing you know, it's DNF.
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen a lot of that from Venom this year, which is great, but a really bad luck. What can you say about a DNF in that, except that it's bad luck? And luckily for Venom, this isn't going to affect him in the overall scheme of things. He's going to be fine. I'm sure he's upset about this. The overall scheme, he's going to be fine. Hopefully he's back for race 3. Put it behind him. Let's go to race 3.
Well, the Marshals and Stewards have a lot to look at, and so do we. Let's check out the replay here of race number 2 in North America. It was an absolute bump and grind session between these guys, and it started off early, Brian.
We saw Julian get in trouble here, and it was Julian and Brizzo getting together several times here. Nurburgring, it's a nice wide track, but there's plenty of opportunities for cars to come together and get in trouble, Ali.
It's a track which you just have to get your rhythm on as quickly as you possibly can. That's something we saw Lightning doing to great effect. It's something that TUS Julian never quite seemed to be able to do. He never found his rhythm, was always playing bumper cars out there in the mid-pack.
Do you think he's out of his skill level here? I don't want to say that about Julian, but he made a couple of mistakes here.
He is just new to it. He's new to it and young, and he needs a little bit more experience. He's got that raw pace. He's got that qualifying pace. He just needs a little bit more of that race seriousness, that race maturity.
He kind of reminds me of a little bit of a hard BR, where this guy's like, man, this guy's fast. Can he control it? Can he sort of tame the beast?
Yeah, absolutely. And he was struggling there, but it was this battle between Vanquish and Revs that, for me, I think is going to be the most memorable moment of the entire day.
That was a great battle. Just two guys giving each other a little bit of room, but taking advantage of one guy on the inside line, then taking advantage of the exit speed that you had if you're on the outside, and it was a classic racing battle.
You saw that quick right-hander. That could have been a sim twitch right there. He could have easily lost it right there.
You can see the body weight of that Subaru is moving across it.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Well, he got pushed wide, but not all the way off the track. I don't think that's a penalty.
No.
That doesn't look like a penalty.
I just had a good feeling about the blue car.
Blue car looked good.
Bet hard on blue.
Let's go over to Kate. Do you have the provisional results?
You have the provisional results. Before we take a look at that, I think it's interesting what's happening on chat right now is the fact that Vanquish said, absolutely great driving, Revs. And then our buddy Revs came on and said, sorry about that hit going into the chicane, was hard on the brakes, and I tried not to hit you. So as we look at the provisional results, let's consider that. As I think it was absolutely, obviously, great driving by Lightning, who was way out in front, and that first lap having clean air seemed to be super advantageous for him. Of course, Force won right there in second. Venom did say that we were just as fast as Lightning, but we kept making contact. Nice job, Paul. But that was what he said in the middle of the race there, followed by Revs there in third, with the battle out with Vanquish, which was just awesome racing, Harmonic in fifth, Sterilizer, and so on and so forth. Again, Venom pulling in 12th there. But chat is really fun right now because it's these guys kind of coming in and talking about how that race went down, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see those results, the final results when they come in, because it might be pretty interesting with all of that. Okay, at this point in time, though, as we are getting ready for those final results and getting a chance to get to know Connor Daly even more, let's take a moment for a word from our sponsors. Well, as we are celebrating the 2000s here, we're going to send us all down a little walk down memory lane and see what the 2000s were all about for the 5 of us commentators.
That is scary. It's a scary
Who do we
thought.
start out with?
Oh,
It's our buddy.
There's that check.
Connor.
Great times in
There's
life.
that check.
Yeah, that big fake
not that
check
big.
for 350 grand. All my friends thought I was cool. Turns out I didn't see a single dollar.
That's a good time. Look at your parents. They look so proud. Derek
I know,
and
happy
Beth there.
times. Oh, yeah. 15-year-old me.
Was that 15?
Yeah, I think so. My hair
You
was
haven't
short,
changed.
so
Is
the
that the
bowl
bowl?
wasn't there.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, my goodness.
What is going on?
Alley tack.
Brian, you look great. The hell?
Why are you singing? You look like
got
you're singing
parties.
Is
here.
that cake? Is that cake at the bottom of your foot?
I think it might be, a slice of cake.
Some sort of party.
Some kind of party
Some
cake.
sort of edible.
Are those corduroys? That's all I want to know. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, what's the story? What's the
Guys,
story?
I can explain.
Please
This
do.
isn't what it looks like.
This isn't what it looks like.
You sure about
The guy
that?
on the left wants nothing to do with you.
Yeah, he's
You
like,
know what? We don't have time for me to explain
He's
this.
like,
What's the
I'm
story?
not with this guy.
Anyone? Brian, story time?
What's
No.
Story time, Tokyo Game Show. That's all I'll say. 2008.
All right. 2008.
There he goes.
Oh,
He's
my
an
gosh.
this guy. I want to meet this guy.
Oh,
That guy is incredible.
Is that a baby blue suit?
we're missing
It's,
some.
it's Searsucker, and that's a 1982 Chevy Silverado. That's my first car. Step side, 4 miles per gallon.
Do you have a pocket watch?
Yeah, that chain.
Is that what that is? Is that a pocket watch?
I think I kept a picture of you in there. I think.
Wow.
I think that hat's missing some feathers.
All right.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
What can we say?
Got a whole gallery.
Looks like a superstar.
And that's Athletic Kate, and that's Eyeglass Kate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Lens Crafters ad there in the middle. Bring
I
a
was-
coupon in for 20% off.
What were you so
By the way,
happy
I
about?
did not fall into the water fountain, just in case any of you. Those are high heels in my hands. I was selling Lens Crafters, no doubt. What was I doing? That was my 2000s. Anyways, thanks, guys, for enjoying that time down memory lane. That was us in the 2000s. Back in our Forza community, where people are being born there, people are started racing there, right?
I
We had
know,
a good
yeah.
mix.
It's
We
a
had
good era.
All right, so Connor Daly, you and I, just so people have a background of Connor and I, we've known each other because we actually grew up in the 2000s together, just some years apart. We went to the same school in good old Indianapolis, so I've known you for a while. But it's really fun to see your story develop as you've talked about the 2000s and how influential that time was in your life.
Yeah. I mean, I was growing up racing. I started racing when I was 10 in go-karts. I started to figure things out a little bit when I was age 13, 14. It got a lot more serious. 2004, 2005. Then I was in a car, 2006, 2007. And then by the end of the 2000s decade in 09 and 10, I'd won a Pro Mazda championship, and I was already moving to Europe to start pursuing Formula One. So it was a really interesting decade in my life, and very successful one. So I was very, very, very lucky, very thankful to to get to do what I did, and here we are today.
And at that time, how much was really Forza developmentally? It really actually helped you a lot developmentally. And we talk about Joseph Newgarden a lot within the Forza community. You and him on the tracks over with IndyCar World, but you guys also played Forza quite a bit.
Oh yeah, we battled it out on Forza all the time. Especially Forza 2 was a huge one for us. I mean, we were constantly looking at each other's times on the leaderboard, trying to figure out how we were going to beat each other. But we were also racing against each other in the Skip Barber National Championship. We did the Team USA Scholarship together in 2008. We went over to Europe and won some races together in Formula Ford. So all throughout that time, we were still playing Forza as soon as we got back home. So pretty cool to see how this game has followed along with us. It's gotten better, and we've gotten to the next level, and it's pretty cool to have been able to have played so many Forza games now.
So over time, you've had a chance to try quite a few different tracks, get in the driver's seat of quite a few cars in the Forza game, if you will. What has been your favorite car track combo? Or do you have one?
Oh, that's really tough.
I
like the tracks that I've driven on in real life because I like to go, test them out on the game, see what it's all about. I always like to drive the high downforce cars in the Forza games now. I mean, that's always a lot of fun for me. But to take a drive in the Subaru, for example, is also a lot of fun because when you drive an all-wheel drive car with low horsepower, it's all about momentum and keeping your speed up. So that's also a good time whenever you're throwing down with your buddies.
How does that skill really translate, right? So there's a feeling involved with driving a car in the game, and there's a feeling obviously involved in the track. How do you see those two kind of blending?
Well, I mean, you always got to be prepared to, to take on new challenges, right? Whether it's a faster car with higher horsepower, less weight, more downforce, or it's a heavy car with a lot of horsepower and no downforce, like a NASCAR I drove last weekend. So there's always new challenges you can face in your regular racing career, and whenever you're, going through the Forza games, there's always, new cars to drive, new challenges to, to face, and we see a lot of drivers, in these championships who are better with some cars than others because it suits their driving style. So it's the same in real life as well.
Okay, so you talk about real life, or I like to say outside racing,
outside,
if you will.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest challenge for you as a driver?
Oh, gosh, a lot of things. Finding sponsorship, but if it's just down to pure driving, it's being able to adapt to an environment and a car as soon as possible. Because in this era, there's not a lot of practice time on race weekends. In IndyCar, we have 1 day of practice, qualify, and then race. And the NASCAR race that I just did last weekend, it was 1 practice session, qualify, race. So it's all about being able to make no mistakes, be perfect, and be as fast as possible in something entirely new on day one as soon as you can do it. So it's really not easy.
I can't even imagine. I think a lot of that translates into our Forza drivers as well, and I think that idea that from sponsorships to team, ownership and management, and feeling like you have the right people behind you and the support. More importantly, I think we've seen a lot of people within the Forza community find that support and really grow within the position. Speaking of that, we do have those final results that are in. But, Connor, that is a huge part of what this game is all about.
Absolutely.
And can you see? Do you see? Check this out.
I see some penalties.
Yeah. We have Skyline with a 5-second penalty, Rizzo with a 5-second penalty, and Julian with that 5-second penalty. We were talking about Julian there in chat. THR Flip Mode said Julian was a good signing. He has certainly improved. But as we said there as well on the show, he still has room for improvement. So that is an important thing to note as these guys are kind of shaking out and getting ready for Mexico City. Of course, Lightning is someone who is on top, smooth sailing, obviously very comfortable right now where he's sitting. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the points after race number 2. As expected with Lightning, they're up at the top. Force 1 carrying the second. Revs right there in third. Harmonic, Vanquish, so on and so forth. That Venom, that incident there really hurt him as he's now running in 6th. I gotta be disappointed with that. And as you continue down the list, this is all very interesting. And I think this third race again with the reverse grid is going to make things even more interesting.
The reverse grid is awesome. Venom is going to want to obviously bounce back. That's such a shame. I obviously hated to see that earlier to Davy's kills in the race earlier today, but you hate to see that for any competitor. But the reverse grid, I think, is the most exciting race, and I can't wait for that one.
I only want to say, does Venom have some venom in his blood? Is that safe to say, gentlemen? Sorry.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
Nailed it. Got it.
Is that what's going to happen with this reverse grid, guys?
Well, welcome back to the Nerd Cave with Ali Tack.
Thank you for laughing.
Where does that leave us?
Oh, I've been mathsing my head off right here.
Here we go, folks.
Maths so hard. Right. So,
okay.
Lightning has done a great job. He's passed Box. He's in 2nd place, looking good up there. Fantastic sparkles. I will get you. I'll get you, Aaron Good.
It's a thing. It's catching on. The people in Mexico are going to love you.
It's not going to happen, and I'm not canceling my maths moment, which is my new branding, just for that, right? The next bit of news is that Force 1 right now is breathing down the necks of Williams Roadrunner and Williams Mitch. Force 1 needs 2nd to beat Roadrunner in the standings. He needs 1st to beat Mitch and get 5th place in that standings out there. So Force 1, a man on the move right now.
That must be why Roadrunner's staying up a little late over there across the pond to see what happens.
To sweat.
And the interesting thing is, if Venom doesn't DNF there, where does that leave him?
Yeah, so Venom lost his chance. He's lost his chance to beat Box. He's more or less cemented now in 4th position. Sadly, I mean, he needed strong results to beat Box. He needed very strong results to beat Lightning. So yeah, unlucky for Venom, but we'll certainly see him at the Mexico playoffs nonetheless.
Dang you, interwebs. Interwebs. Final race of really Series 2 here on the Wednesday Showdown, and it's the Aston Martin 007, shaken not stirred. Basically, it looks like a frog with lipstick on it, and here we go.
You're so wrong, Scott. It's one of the most beautiful cars ever made. The Aston Martin DBR9, an absolutely incredible car. This is the 2006 version. The 2007, 2008 versions both won the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It's got a big, naturally aspirated V12 in the front as well. You know you like it.
Well, me and the family grew up going to Maple Valley, heading up there, doing a little apple picking. The syrup is delicious. And, well, it looks like it might be wet again. So, okay.
Isn't Maple Valley where dogs go after they leave the house? It's gone up to Maple Valley to live out its days. In the big old farm up there.
That might have been what your folks told you. But I hate to tell you, it did not go well for your little pupper. Race 3, reverse grid. So Jillian's on top, Rizzo, Master Apex, and here we go. We are lights out, all green. And you got to love this initial view on Maple Valley, and here we go. Lap 1 of 10, the final 10 laps here on the Wednesday Showdown before we head to Mexico City just a few weeks from now. And Jillian, we know he's got pace, and he's already pulling.
What a chance this is for Julian to end the season strong. He's got a great pace. We know he's fast. He's had a little bit of difficulty in the mid-pack, but now he's got clean air. What can he do? Battles here in the mid-pack, though, and Force 1 already getting squirrely there, just about saving that.
Well, boy, you got to watch out here as they're throwing it in to turn 6, 7, and 8. As they make their way up and around, they'll go back down underneath the bridge this time that they just went over. And we got some ways to go, but these guys are really pedal to the metal right now.
Yeah, Lightning there taking a trip across the grass as well. So Lightning falling back to 11th. Very unlucky for him. He's going to struggle now because Force 1 and Venom both made great gains at the start of this race. Venom already in 4th position.
Diablo still all in the back. Master Apex is taking over the top spot over Jillian up front. You can see them coming right into your living room. Up and over the crest, Revs in 10th. There's Lightning in 11th. See how many moves these guys can make. as they come back to the start-finish line for the first time. They'll do that 9 more times. As Julian trying to take back that top spot, and he looks like he's gonna make it stick. Well, shout out there to YMTV and Tor on the back of that GTR Master Apex.
Like to see it, always like to see it. We've got a cool little battle here, to be honest. It's nice to stay on board with it. TUS Julian and GTR Master Apex. Neither of these drivers will make it to Mexico City, but both of them here getting their moment to shine, their last little moment of the 2018 Forza Racing Championship. What great competitors they've both been, Julian and Master Apex.
2 guys that are really trying to carry some momentum into next season. Have an opportunity to find themselves in the podium position. First time this year, no wins, no podiums for either of these guys. Master Apex has actually accumulated 7 penalties on the year, one of the most penalized guys in North America. So I say all that to say, Julian, be careful out there.
You know, Venom up to 3rd, but I thought he would slice his way through this pack a little bit faster than that. So Venom maybe not making the gains that he needs to be making. Force 1 right now needs to come alive. He needs to win this race to get 5th, needs to get 2nd to get 6th. So this guy needs results.
We got a fast track, you got a fast car. These guys running about 125. And I think that's for Venom. He's saying, hey, I got plenty of time. Maybe not that much time, as Vanquish is now on the outside of him. But able to fall back in the line, so Venom will stay with 3rd. But a good job there by Master Apex. Able to hold him off for just a moment. So Jillian out in front. There's Venom in 3rd. He's got Vanquish right behind him. And a nice job coming to the inside for Venom. So he'll move up into 2nd place, but can he make it stick? Apex back to the inside. Now on the outside. Julian, he's clear. But the question is,
Vanquish going to do both of them there. So
that's right.
Both of them getting caught up. Master Apex and Venom at that turn 8, and then Vanquish just diving up the inside. Nicely done, and all the way up to 2nd.
Yeah, and then Master Apex, the pressure getting to him. To the inside. Now he's full to the outside. He's in 5th. And he's having a little moment right there as he lets a few guys go by him.
That's tough to see. Tough way to end this race for him. TUS Julian continues to do a great job at the front there. He's got a little bit of breathing room for him now. I don't know how long that will last with the likes of THR Vanquish and F4H Venom right behind him.
2 guys very fast, and let's not forget about Valache Force 1, who's now in 4th. So the cream is starting to rise to the top here on Maple Valley, and TUS Jillian all alone here, trying to hold off these guys in the reverse grid. And he's got the pace to do it. He can pace with anybody here in North America. The question is, can he keep it between the lines here for 6 more laps?
What a way to end the Wednesday Showdowns of this year. We've got 6 laps, 4 cars battling it out for the lead here. Julian maybe taking that lead from the reverse grid. He's going to have to do some great defensive work here with 3 drivers behind, each of which need points for different reasons.
Now to the inside. Julian's gonna try to keep him off here, but Vanquish almost looked like he hit the nitro there. Slings to the inside and well past. He's now the lead dog here on Maple Valley in lap 4 of 10. And Venom will go by as well. Meep, meep.
And the rain starts to fall. Things are going to get very interesting now indeed. The track is going to evolve rapidly. Braking zones are going to be increased. Corner grip is going to be decreased. And all of these drivers are going to be pushed to the edges of their ability.
And remember, at this point in Europe, when the rain started to come down, that final turn, turn 18, turned into the Bermuda Triangle that some of the best in the world could not make it through. See how that develops with us about halfway through this race. So Venom in 2nd, Julian in 3rd, and that's really 1, 2, 3 as 4 and 5 as Vanquish gets into the cones. He gets into the grass, he's off to the side, and now Vanquish coming through.
First victim then of that glossy road surface, the lack of grip, punishing Vanquish, who flies off onto the grass tumbles back into the mid-pack. Force One and Venom battling it out in the rain here in Maple Valley.
And where did Vanquish end up?
I think I saw him 4th place, just saw that come through. So 4th place, not a bad recovery for Vanquish. He might be able to take a podium here, or even better, but he needs to collect that car up.
This is no weather to start mowing the lawn. Julian just hanging out here in 3rd. And that was close.
Ooh, getting into the rear there of Julian.
And here comes Harmonic by with it. He's got some momentum. Now he's off to the side. That allows Lightning to come through. So Lightning has powered his way up into the top 5 here in lap 6 of 10. Vanquish was leading for a moment. It was just a moment.
Julian hanging onto that podium by his fingernails. He's doing a great drive out there. 6 laps out of 10. He's kept it nice and clean. Ran his own pace. Hasn't troubled himself trying to stay up there with Venom and Force One. They're going to disappear up the road, but Julian can do his best to hold back Vanquish.
Well, it's going to be a logjam because you know Lightning is just right behind that. Vanquish has moved up 4 spots. Force One, how about him as a big mover? He has moved up 9 spots in this reverse grid. And Vanquish to the inside. And there's no doubt that he's going to make this one stick. You're going to watch him come around the corner here. And it will be him moving into 3rd place as Julian just continues to drop. He was leading for a few laps there off the get-go. And now Lightning in 5th. He's the next one that's going to be attacking Julian. And that's what you think. You know, Julian, we know he's got the pace, but you keep falling back. You're like, oh no, it's Venom now. Oh, it's Force One that's behind me now. Oh, it's Vanquish. And here comes Lightning. You're in lap 6 of 10.
See how twitchy Venom was getting there across the top of the track. That last sector, his car was sliding left and right.
Lap 7 of 10.
Blood.
Oh no, Vanquish. That's going to be a lot of spots dropped there. Currently in all the way back into 10th.
Julian still holding on to that 3rd position, defending like crazy. Lightning is not an easy driver to defend against. I think he might make this move happen very quickly. A very assertive overtaking driver.
So Lightning's now in 4th. Make it 3rd. Venom, Force One, and Lightning. 1, 2, 3. And Lightning's going to have a long way to go to catch those 2 guys. You can see it right there, how big that gap is between 1, 2. You can see all those car links. Lightning not even in your photo there. By the way, Lightning has the fastest lap at 1:24. But it's Venom and Force One, 1, 2 for these final 3.5 laps or so.
Look at Venom, he's overdriving the car through this top sector. Again, he's weak here. You can see the car twitching around that rear end, sticking out under power application. Force One has this so under control. It feels like a matter of time.
Remind me again what Force One had to score here for him to move up to where he needs to overtake Roadrunner. How many points does he need?
So in the global leaderboard, if Force One finishes 2nd, where he is right now, he's beaten Williams Roadrunner. He's in 6th position. If Force One wins this race, he's up to 5th. He's beaten Williams Mitch, and he's absolutely dominated it in the last week of the ForzaRC. This is super important.
The question, does he know that? Because you have so much room between you and Lightning here in these final 3 laps. You don't need to do anything crazy and cost yourself an opportunity to move up. Or does he think he's got to win it? Or does he just want to win it?
He's a smart guy. He's a cerebral driver. You know, when you get him out on track, though, any of these people, you know, you switch them on and you let them go, and they're just going to want to finish as far up as they can. He's never going to let anything go from Venom.
By the way, Master Apex at one point was leading this race momentarily, and you can see from the mini-map in your bottom left-hand corner, he's that dot that is well back there coming around turn 2 and 3. That's who's all the way at the back. but it's all about this 1-2 punch of Venom and Force One, who Force One's fallen off the pace just a little bit here. Gonna have an opportunity to gain it as we come back to the start-finish line. Here comes lap 9 of 10.
I love this battle. Just 2 more circulations of the track remain. Hardly any chances for Force One to make this happen. I think he can close the gap quite quickly. Venom looks a little bit uncomfortable out there in the lead, but the sky is clearing up and the track will now start to dry. Is that going to move it back into Venom's hands?
The question is, will it be dry enough with just 2 laps remaining? Through the covered bridge. He'll do that one more time. Back around and through turn 7 and 8. They'll go underneath the bridge. And Force One is right there on Venom.
He destroyed Venom on the brakes through that section. Much more confident throwing that Aston Martin into the apexes, trail braking it in there. Venom with a touch on the grass there through the apex. You don't want to do that in the wet. There's no grip there. Force One starting to gain again.
You could tell from the times there that they were running 124, 125s on the dry track. They've slowed down nearly 4 seconds in that 128, 129.
Last
One more
lap.
time around the circuit, Allie.
It's crunch time, and Force One has a chance. Surely he has a chance right on Venom's rear now. One more go through all the corners. I think his best chance will be through turns 6 through 8.
Up and over the crest. You're talking about right when you go through the covered bridge. That'll be your marker to know that that's the opportunity for Force One to make a move.
Here it is. Heavy on the brakes now into the left-hander. Force One needs to close up that gap because the next corner is his best chance. He's got a better run, closer on the apex. Venom still just about managing to hold on.
It looks like he's gonna maybe hold the door here. Underneath the bridge. Just a few sweeping turns left.
It's a wild ride there for Force One over the grass. But this is where Venom's been weakest. You can see the rear popping as he applies the power. He's pulsing the throttle, not putting a smooth motion of throttle in. And that's where Force One's really going to gain. It's going to be a run to the line here and down the hill for the last time.
Final lap, final turns. Venom losing a little bit of momentum, the rear, back and forth. And Venom provisionally will hold on and keep Force One in that second spot. But that should be enough for Force One provisionally to propel himself in the global leaderboard past Roadrunner. Wow, it really turned into that 1-2 punch there at the end for North America.
Yeah, we were calling that Rev's race from race 2 was the best one. No, I take all that back. What we saw there between Venom and Force One was masterful. Great way for Venom to end his day with a win there provisionally, of course. But Force One, starting from 11th, fighting his way through and showing so much grit, especially on the second half of that track, where he would just close the distance there on Venom and just put so much pressure on him.
Well,
Full send.
I think in the reverse grid, what these guys in the back get a taste of is that pressure of running in that top 3, especially being the leader out there. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. And when the rain came down, the track changed once again, and it was the ones that were able to, as you mentioned, smooth on the brakes, smooth on the throttle out of the corners. Those were the ones that were able to pick up the pace and pick up some time.
Yeah, and you could see Venom there pulsing the throttle, you know, throwing the rear out, catching it, throwing it out, catching it, always applying a little bit too much, getting a bit greedy on the throttle. That's where Force One was really starting to make some gains. Such a close race, though. I loved the aggression.
Yeah, it was great stuff. And nobody, at least what I saw in the back, nobody got eaten up by that last turn, which I like.
Let's take a look at the replay here on Maple Valley, our final race here of Series 2. And we saw a lot of guys just get a bit too wide at times, Brian.
Yeah, no, this is, again, we're talking about those really wide track with those long corners. A lot of guys here's Venom sort of falling back there before he made it stick and get up to the front of the race. Master Epic, Scott, you were saying this guy had a chance to win this race, but bad luck, maybe a little bit of bad driving, and Vanquish. Once you get off on the grass at Maple Valley and you got a long left or right-hander, it's going to take you forever to get around that corner.
And the rain doesn't make it any easier. At that point, you felt really strong about Vanquish, but that would be the moment that really did it in for him.
Yeah, Vanquish just lost it. When the rain came down, he just didn't have the, wasn't able to adapt to it just as well as the other guys. Julian, though, what a great job from him to just hold on to a strong position.
Well, he holds on there provisionally, but as we mentioned, I don't know if Force One knew it, but it should be enough for him to move up a spot in the global leaderboard.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't thinking 5th overall. Maybe he was just thinking, I want to move my way up. I'm going to do as best as I can. I don't know. I tend to think we saw the tweet from him or the chat comment saying, I am paying attention. I know what's happening in these races. He probably knew exactly where he was on the points table, but I'm sure he'll be happy. Maybe it wasn't exactly where he wanted to end up, but moving up that leaderboard, nothing to sneeze at.
Well, every point matters, so let's go over to Kate with the provisional results.
Well, that was quite exciting racing. I was watching you from the back over there, and you were heads in, I mean, super focused watching it.
I just like racing in the rain. I think when the rain comes, it's always a lot of fun. It's cool to see how it's affecting each competitor differently. And I mean, I'm really impressed at how close they can keep it
right?
with how slick the track is there. So it was a really good race for sure.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at those results, the provisional results at this point in time, and see where it all shimmies out. Well, Venom obviously out in front. We saw that was happening. Force One almost being able to take that lead, and I guarantee you he knew he wanted that win. And actually on social media, they were talking up. They thought he was going to have it. So Lightning there in third. Great move up for Lightning, obviously. Worked his way through the pack to end up in third. Sterilizer, Revs, Diablo, and so on and so forth. You're right, the rain does make it interesting. It was also funny during chat. Everyone's like, why do you guys always pick the rain? And Roadrunner was getting into it about how he likes to be a little devious. I saw that, Roadrunner. And it makes it challenging for these drivers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what people want to see. I mean, people want to see a challenge. People want to see something different because I think normally if we're going to, go out and do some laps on a track, it's probably going to be dry. So,
yeah.
And Lightning obviously was kind of just quiet the whole way through that race, but ended up in third. So he's obviously had a pretty decent day today.
Well, speaking of challenges, we have an opportunity to have Joseph Newgarden, defending IndyCar Series champ, and Tanner Faust, also a champ of many different things. Oh, there they are. Those are our buddies.
Two
Connor.
incredible talents, incredibly great gentlemen at racing.
But they are going head-to-head in champ versus champ, and we are talking about some challenges we didn't see about this one. I'd be curious to know, Connor, if you could do this.
For this challenge, I'm choosing the Porsche Carrera GT. If I had to choose one car that was my favorite, overall, this would be it. And I get asked that question all the time, what's your favorite car? And it's hard to narrow it down, but it always comes back to the Porsche Carrera GT. While this could be something Joseph could be pretty good in because it is the most road racy car probably out here, it's still my favorite. So it's got to be part of the challenge. So good luck, Joseph.
So Tanner, we both picked Porsches. You've gone a little bit different year, different era. I like what you've done here. I've chosen the Silverstone GP track because I think that's a little bit more in my wheelhouse. I've driven this track once.
I've never been around. Rallycross does go there, but it only uses 20% tarmac. So I don't know the track, but I do know the car.
Okay, well, seeing as you know the car, I kind of know the track, I'm going to make it a little more interesting. We're going to do this one-handed. Pick left or right, and stick to that the entire time.
Okay. And the shifting and everything?
Everything. Everything's one hand.
Oh my gosh, this thing's got some power. Oh, Jesus, really? We're just gonna go around
Now
this
we'll
barrier.
count it. Yeah, we'll just count the barriers. It's like you're ripping the handbrake every time you turn.
Just ignore that.
That's good. A lot of inside curving.
I think I have a new strategy.
Just going slower. That's the new strategy.
Oh man, there's a lot going on in the track here.
Whose idea was this one hand?
I know, no. It's a pretty long lap.
It's a long track. I mean, it's a proper F1 Grand Prix style track. You really have to, string a bunch of corners together. Decent lap. 229. I have no idea if that's good or not.
It's felt like 2 days.
I'm gonna take a different strategy on the gears here. I'm just gonna try higher gears.
Obviously, you thought about that since this one-handed thing was your idea. Oh, that was a good move. A good slide across the force feedback wheel.
Like that?
Yeah.
You gotta be smooth. It's super difficult to get your hand over. I feel like a NASCAR driver pulling my hand over like this. It feels uncomfortable to me. Like I would not want to drive like that.
You used your left hand for a hand gesture to emphasize what you were saying, and I think that's borderline using your left hand.
I don't know about that.
Can you just please just leave that at your side? Damn it. Oh, there's asphalt out there. Wow, that was really good.
What was your lap time again? What was your lap time, bud? Can we get a lap time check on that?
229 was mine, and you beat it in your opening lap. Was that? Are you sure it was 229?
I'm just
It was 219. 219. Was it really 229?
It's one of my favorite pieces is that champ versus champ. I don't know why. Joseph smiling like that it really makes me laugh.
He's so easily happy. He's so easily made
So easily pleased.
joyful. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, one of my favorite parts of the entire show is to see what the people in the community have put together as it relates to liveries. They are so creative. And as we celebrate the 2000s, let's see what we had in store today.
Yeah, we've had a sort of series-long livery competition going on with these amazing painters like SES Screamies really taking to heart the theme for week 4 here in the Forza RC Round 2 with this beautiful purple. I think we all probably had a shirt this color in the 2000s at some point.
I didn't. I'm not gonna lie.
You did
You
not.
missed out. You missed out.
J Big Daddy 1010, love this sort of shredding car, NOS. I know, Connor, you like
Hot
this one.
Import Nights 2007.
That's
Yeah,
right,
big time. Feel good about
needs to be
that.
stanced out a little bit. It'll be good. Great looking race livery here from Lyco PT on the Lotus here. Gorgeous.
It's
This
beautiful.
looks like it could run anywhere in the world right
Yep.
now. Love it.
Classic Elf Racing colors from the French folks over there.
And Buddy Munter, still worried about the Y2K bug. I think we all are.
I liked what you said before, you know,
I'm still scared.
buy some beans.
Still stocking up on beans because you never know. Y3K, I'm preparing for it right now. Good job, Buddy Munter. That looks awesome. And MFU 82. Now this car has a theme. This is like making the world better. Think blue, minus 80% CO2. There's a message, Connor, with this car.
Yeah. How about that environment?
I love it.
I still like cars that shoot flames and backfire, but you know what?
Big ups for the environment. Love
Yeah.
it. Finally, this may be my favorite. PTG Fox always comes correct with the liveries.
Oh, look at that.
And this has a lot of Forza history to it. Forza 2, the original Forza Motorsport, that Audi R8 on the cover of Forza 3, Connor.
And the 350Z classic. I love these colors. The Xbox green, that's slightly darker than normal, but it was beautiful when it came out.
I'll call that vibrant. Well done, PTG Fox, and well done to everybody who entered our livery contest over the decades. It was a fantastic competition.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, very, very well done to many. All right, the final results are in. It was interesting on chat to see who thought they may have a penalty or not, and Sterilizer will be very happy because he is one that was a little concerned, but there's no penalties as all of the penalties led to contacts. So.
Yeah, now good news is there's no penalties. The bad news is that still means that Julian and Master Apex are all the way in the back, despite the fact that they started in the top.
Right.
You know, but you know, at the same time, Venom's got to feel great. Ending the Wednesday Showdowns for the season with a win. Great stuff.
And not to mention, not just a win, but obviously after not finishing that second race, and how pumped he was on chat that at least he got another win. I mean, that's got to feel good as a driver to come back with redemption, for
sure.
if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great finish to the afternoon. Just great racing in general. I think still my heart breaks for people who disconnect. That's that
has stuck with you all day long.
It makes my brain boil. I feel so bad for them.
All right, up next is the points. It is where we stand at this point after the day of racing. Lightning,
Great job from Lightning. A win and a third place gives them 52 points overall. Allie and I were joking before this broadcast began. What if Force One ends up with 3 second places and 45 points? It means he misses 5th place overall by 1 point. So, you know, the good news is he's got a fantastic 2nd place finish here. The bad news is, boy, what could have been if he had found a win somewhere in those 3 races?
Yeah, and speaking of 1 point, Venom missed passing Rossi for 1 point.
That's we're talking about small margins here at the end of the season, right? Where every point counts. We talk about it mid-season. Boy, every one of these points is going to count at the end of the season for Mexico City and eventually for London. And you see it in action right here on this very leaderboard.
You know, Lightning was pretty quiet today in chat. I didn't hear much from him on there. Lightning, are you out there? How thrilled are you with your day? Any takeaways? We'd love to hear from you as well, just for future as we get ready to go to Mexico City.
Oh, he's got to be feeling good. He's got 1st place. He's got a couple of wins in his belt.
Solid day for him.
We're talking about that momentum, though. You know, that's really what it's all about in driving.
If you can use momentum, you know, that could be a huge addition to your whole bag of tricks when it comes to a championship run. So momentum is big. It gets your brain feeling nice, your heart feeling good and pumping early before you go into the next race, which is really cool.
Well, that wraps it up for Series 2 competition. But coming up next with our TV, what we have in store for you. Check this out. We have team racing on the Series 2 recap. That's going to be September 12th. Playoffs promotion show on September 26th. And, of course, something that all of us over here in the Forza Racing Championship are stoked on is that Series 2 playoffs in Mexico City. And I hope everybody in the community are ready, are gearing up and are ready for that, because it's going to be a showdown. It's going to be intense, and then it all leads over to London. Well,
we remember what happened in Seattle. It was a fantastic race. We had Zoom sort of exerting himself as the #1 in the world. We saw Box finally getting that championship. All these storylines are converging here in Mexico City, and we could have a brand new champion, and everything's heading towards London. So Mexico City's going to be huge.
I can't wait to see it. I mean, if you guys want me to come, let me know. I love tacos, love burritos.
Me too.
I know. I'm excited. I'm excited for the racing. I'm excited for food. Okay. Final thoughts from everybody. Takeaways today?
Subarus provide great racing, so
right
I'm all in on that.
Mic drop. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's starting positions in Mexico City. We saw it with Lage, how he's going to finish, how he's going to start in Mexico City. We saw it with Force One. Didn't exactly get to where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
All of these things are going to play out at Mexico City. All of these positions count for these guys.
Well, you too. Thank you so much, Connor Daly, Brian Eckberg, for Scott Cole, Ali Tack, our crew behind the scenes that make this all happen. Of course, the community for joining in our fun and being part of the show. Thank you to all of you for being on board. And of course, our sponsors that make this all very much happen. We look forward to seeing you as we prepare to get ready to go to Mexico City. Again, join us at watch.forzarc.com for the latest.